Hey folks, what's here? Welcome back to another Poem Master video, and today let's talk about, Phoebe, Synchrid, and all that stuff, right? And Phoebe, obviously got an expanded Synchrid recently, and like I mentioned before, it's not the greatest, unfortunately, right? It definitely could have been better, and there really isn't that much to talk about in terms of her grid, because there really just aren't that many options to go for, right? But anyways, we could still go for it. So as for a lucky skill, the lucky skill part is actually pretty interesting with Phoebe, because since she already has vigilance, generally your tanks would want like vigilance on them. But since she already has vigilance, you can't really roll that, right? I mean, you can, but like, what's the point? So there are some other options that you could go with. Fast track is honestly a really good option in my opinion, because Phoebe's biggest downside is that it's pretty slow, right? So if you get fast track on Phoebe, you could increase her speed, which definitely helps. Like her biggest weakness, in my opinion, is her speed, right? If you get that up, that could definitely help a lot. Another option is Defense Crush, because if Phoebe is a physical support, you will be running her with physical damage dealers, and Defense Crush just helps decrease the opponent's defenses, which increases your field striker's damage, right? And then another one maybe could be like one of those guards. I mean, if you want. What's she weak to? I think dark, right? Dark guard or like normal guard to, guard against like impacts. Although I don't really recommend that. I do think either fast track or defense crush would probably be the best option here. So anyways, let's go into her grid. Starting out from 1 out of 5. As usual, not too many options, right? Just basically pick up everything you have. Shadow Punch, Move Gauge Refresh. Although again, she's not going to really be doing too much damage. You could pick up Unbreakable Bonds MP Refresh, because again, she is relatively slow, so you could, maybe get some. You just use that to charge move gauges, right? Yeah, there really isn't much to pick up, unfortunately. If you want to do like some damage, there's no point in really picking unless you're in like Villa. If you're in Villa, you want to pick this up, right? But otherwise, I guess like some Shadow Punch power ups. Does it like really just like cover everything? Okay, it covers almost everything. Don't do double edge. Like her damage is actually not like the worst, but like it's also not anything crazy. Like look at that attack stat, right? But she does give her like herself crit and attack. But I do not recommend double edging unless you're doing co-op, right? She's actually really great in co-op, because once you give yourself dire hit, if you give yourself physical attack, you do have pass it on, which is basically a baton pass, right? So it either you switch out or feint, right? And if you wanted to feint fast, you could, I guess, double edge to speed up the process to take yourself out quicker. But otherwise, there's no point, dabbling in double edge. So as for 2 out of 5, you do have both Shadow Punch and Move Gauge Refreshes, which is, in my opinion, the best thing on our grid. Just the 2 Move Gauge Refresh on Shadow Punch. You also do have Natural Remedy, which also helps a lot if you are tanking with her. Although I really wouldn't really use her as a tank. I'd use her more as an off tank, right? You pick up like Inspire Ire here. Once your main tank needs some help, needs a bit of a breather to, if you're gradually healing or whatever, right? To heal up some HP, you could use Unbreakable Bonds, Inspire Ire, redirect the damage over to Phoebe a bit, take some damage and then give it back later, right? That could definitely be an option. As for some other stuff, again, you could pick up MP Refresh on Unbreakable Bonds if you want, and it's just basically just defensive stats plus the speed, right? Again, it depends on what you're facing. If you're facing something physical defense, you want to pick some more defensive nodes. If you're facing something with spiritual defense, you want to pick up some spiritual defensive nodes, right? Pretty straightforward. All right, moving on to 3 out of 5 Phoebe. 3 out of 5 Phoebe, you do have some stuff, right? You do have Critical Fortification 6, 70% chance of increasing your defense when you land a crit, which you always will be landing crits because you buff crits, right? So you could go over there, pick that up, right? You could still go down here and Inspire Ire, and then pick up like Team Toughen Up, and then maybe still pick up Natural Remedy. And if you're fighting like a stage that doesn't really need Natural Remedy, then maybe you could. Do we have enough for On the Ropes? I don't think we have enough. We're 4 short from On the Ropes. But if you're like main tanking with her, you could do that instead of like Inspire Ire, right? It really depends. I do really prefer using her as like an off tank though instead. Which in that case you probably want to pick up Natural Remedy. But again, Natural Remedy really just depends on what you're facing, right? There really isn't any good damage builds. Like you could stand fast with like double edge. I do not recommend it at all, honestly. Let's see what else? Yeah, I think those are basically it. Like, you really don't have too many builds with her, unfortunately. Again, I do not recommend damage builds. As for team comps, it's just basically you're just going to be running her on like units that need crit and physical attack, right? And stuff like, I guess, Metagross, Fraligator, right? I guess Zekrom. Although, with the exception of like Fraligator, right? The other two are relatively slow, which could be a bit of an issue, especially Zekrom, right? So I'm not sure how that would go. You might want another speed buffer. Although in Zekrom's case, you can't really do that, right? Because you need Volkner for electric drain. Yeah, it is actually slightly hard to run Phoebe with any because like usually like a lot of physical strikers, they don't really need physical attack buffs. A lot of them like need crit buffs, and if that's the case, it's just better to run stuff like Lyra or Sabrina or Swings of Blue with them instead, right? But again, Dusknoir not a terrible option. So you could always do that. Obviously, you can run her with special strikers as well, as long as those special strikers get +6 special attack on their own. If you're just here to provide crit, right? I guess you could do that. Again, the options for Phoebe are slightly limited, and they're just I just feel like in most case scenarios, there just are better units, right? Again, a lot of these, like even like for Fraligator, right? Fraligator has X attack. She only needs 2 more attack plus crit. Like, when you're faced with running Meganium or Dusknoir, maybe Meganium could be a better option. A lot of cases, although both of them are like off tanks, can't really tank with them. But yeah, Meganium does have stuff like Light Screen, does have a gravity heal, all that stuff. Meganium doesn't have Vigilance though, but again, you could just roll Vigilance on units, right? Not having Vigilance as a tank is not the biggest deal in the world. Again, you could just roll them with lucky skills, eventually. So yeah, Dusknoir kind of shafted on the Synchrid. Kind of shafted on the Synchrid. I don't know. I just wish she did a bit more. She had like any sort of gravity healing that would have been nice. I don't know why they gave her like so much damage stuff. Like, it's not even that good. Like Power Reserve 3, Sync Emergency 5, and it's all in a pinch, which I get it. You're a double-edged user, but like, come on. If we had like Pep Rally on Dusknoir, that would have been so much. It would have made Dusknoir so much better, right? Pep Rally Dusknoir, increases speed for your whole team. If you use, let's say, Unbreakable Bonds or Dire Hit or whatever, right? I don't know. I just wish it was better. But there are your options, I guess. Again, she's not bad, but if you have better options, you could generally use those better options instead. Anyways, that's pretty this one. I guess hope you guys enjoy. Let me guys think in the comments down below. Like and enjoy this video. So around channel for some more Master's content. I'll see you guys in the next one.